Hi, welcome to the Count System. In this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Count System dashboard, how to run a basic count, how to find your counts within the history, and how to download a breakdown report. Let's get started. When you log into the system, it'll take you to the Count dashboard. Let's talk about some of the items that we see on the screen here. So on the left, we have our navigation tool, which will allow us to build our audience using the different geography types available, as well as all of the different selections. On the right, we have our search parameters, which will update as we build our audience using that navigation tool. A few items to note. Here we will see the count result when we run our count. We can also choose to name our counts, which makes it easier later on to find your counts within the history. Now the per household will default to 1. Most of your counts will be run in this way, and it means that you will only pull 1 record per household. When we pull our count, we can also choose to download a breakdown using this button here. And under selected criteria, this will update with the various geos and selects that we choose using the navigation tool. So let's get started by running a basic count. We're going to come to our navigation tool, and let's pick a geo. Let's start with zip codes. When you click on the zip codes, you're going to notice this new box appears, and there are a couple different ways that you can upload the zip codes into your count. One way is to use the upload file button. So if you have like an Excel file with a list of zip codes, you could choose to upload your file here. But I think the easiest way is actually to copy and paste your zip codes into the search value bar. When you paste your zip codes, they will appear underneath with their associated city and state. At this point, we could choose to check off the various zip codes that we would like to include with our count, or we could choose to select all. Once you choose your zip code, you'll notice they will show up in your Includes field, and they'll also appear under the selected criteria, letting us know that when we run our count, these will be included. Now, a nice feature about zip codes is that you can also include a radius. This is unique to the zip code function. So to include a radius, you would come to this little box here and you would check that. Then you're going to add the mileage that you want. So let's say, for example, in this count, we would like an 8-mile radius. Then we're going to choose the affected zip codes. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose all of them. So now we can see within our Includes field, we have our zip codes, and we also have our 8-mile radius, and that is also reflected under the selected criteria. Now you could choose to add additional geography types, whether you wanted to add some cities, counties, states, DMAs, any of those are available to you. But for this count, we're going to stick with our zip codes. Let's move on to the selections. Now there are hundreds of different selections within the system to choose from. Most selections are grouped together in a way that makes it easy to find them through these drop-downs here. So for example, if you wanted to look at households with children, you could click on the Children drop-down here and see some of the different targeting options available. You could pull presence of children, you could pull absence of children, as well as things like parents of high school students, number of children, age of children, and gender of children. Another example would be homeowner information. If you come to the homeowner drop-down, you could choose between homeowners and renters. If you wanted first-time homeowners, you could do that as well. You could look at pool owners. You could even look at property type. For information regarding just the individuals within the count, you could come to the individual drop-down and see that you could add an age range, a gender, or even a marital status, political party, or education. A popular option is the auto information, where you could find targets such as auto intenders. You could look at owners of specific makes and models. You could look by the auto year, or you could even just look at auto owners in general. Let's start building our count. So for this count, we're going to come to the Individual tab, and we're going to add an age range. As you can see, we can run anywhere from ages 18 to 99. So let's add an age of ages 25 to 54 for our count. Now that I've added that age range, you can see it's showing up in my Includes field, as well as under my selected criteria. I'm going to go ahead and add an additional target. Let's go to our interests and see what we have available. When you come to the interests, you'll notice that you have a second filter value search bar. If you wanted to look for interest specifically, without looking at anything else within these dropdowns, you could use this bar to filter out the interests. So for example, if I needed to find people who had an interest in entertainment, I could start typing in entertainment and it'll filter this out for me. Now we have our entertainment interest here. There are also various subcategories available, but I'd like to go ahead and see any interest in entertainment. I could add additional targeting, but for this count, we're going to go ahead and run it as is to see what the numbers look like. And now we see that we have 223,000 records within the zip codes that we provided in that 8-mile radius for anyone ages 25 to 54 with interests in entertainment. Now, if we wanted to at this point, we could continue to alter our count by either adding or removing selects or geographies. Let's add an additional target. So I'm going to come to income and wealth, and I'm going to add in a household income. To add in an income, I could select any of these ranges that I would like to include in my count. In this case, let's go ahead and add anybody who makes $60,000 or more. The easiest way to do that would be to select all of these available and simply unselect the ones I would not want to include. Let's rerun our count to see what that looks like. And there we see, because we got more specific, we added additional targeting, our numbers dropped. We have 125,000 records within that same geo for the people ages 25 to 54 with entertainment interest, and now we have that household income layer. Now, a nice function about the system is that it will save any of your counts within the History tab. So you'll always have the option to go back and look at the counts that you've pulled. So to do that, we're going to come to our History tab. And what you'll probably notice first is that we have all of our past searches down here. If you ever needed to go back and search for one of your counts, you could refine your report up here, looking either by the date range, the count ID, or your count name. Now, the latest count will always appear on top, and you can see here we have our count ID, which is given to our count, our count name, the number that we reached when we last ran our count, and if we had pulled a breakdown, that would appear here. If you wanted to see how it was that you got to the number that you see here, you could click on the preview button to get a summary of the geo and targeting that you had pulled. If you ran several variations within the same count, you could click on the History button to see the different variations that you had pulled and their associated previews. Now, if you wanted to, you could also copy your count through this button here. When you click on the Copy button, it'll take you back to your dashboard, but the selected criteria will populate with all the geos and targeting that you had previously selected. From this point, you could choose to alter your count. You could either remove some of these targeting, or you could add additional targeting. Let's go ahead and add an additional target. Let's go back to our interests. Now, one thing to note about the interests specifically is that they have a logic function up at the top. This will always default to OR, meaning that the people that you run in your count only have to meet one criteria for the interests that you choose. If you select AND, you're getting more specific. You're saying that these people need to meet every single interest that you choose. So for this count, we're going to go ahead and leave that as an OR option, and we're going to add some additional targets. So we have entertainment. Let's look at beauty and cosmetics and golf. And we'll rerun our count. Now we can see we have 130,000 records. Now, if I wanted to get more information about this count, I could choose to download this breakdown. I'm going to click on that button here. The most common breakdown is the Geo Summary Report, which shows you the number of records available per geo that you had pulled in your count. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. We're going to hit Export and give the system just a moment to prepare that file for us. Okay. So now the system has prepared our report. It's saved within the History tab. So we're going to go to the History tab. And up at the very top where we have our latest count, we now have a link to download our breakdown report. I'm going to open the file. And as you can see, we now have our Geo Summary Breakdown Report. It's going to show you the geos that you had included in your count. You can see all the different selections that we had chosen. And we have the query details, which breaks down by the different zip codes that I had provided, the number of records per zip code. Pretty neat? So in this video, we've gone over the count system dashboard, how to run a basic count, how to find your counts within the history, and how to download a breakdown. We hope you enjoy the system, and thanks for watching.